Lily and the Secret of the Whispering Atom. Chapter 1. A Curious Wish. Lily was a girl with a mind full of questions. She lived in the small seaside town of Brine Bay, where she spent her days watching the sun sparkle on the ocean waves and listening to the seagulls call. While most children delighted in building sandcastles or collecting shells, Lily's favorite pastime was asking questions. Big questions. She filled her notebooks with sketches of the stars, pictures of flowers, and scribbled words like why and how across almost every page. The biggest question of all she kept tucked safely in her heart: what is everything made of? She'd heard adults speak about atoms, those tiny building blocks that formed everything she could see or touch, from the shells on the beach to the handle of her bicycle and even the air she breathed. But how, exactly, did these atoms come together to make a seashell? How did they arrange themselves to shape a human being? And how did they form the entire world? One morning, Lily woke up determined to find out. She sprang out of bed so eagerly that her hair, tied with a blue ribbon, bounced in every direction. Throwing on her clothes, a pair of shorts, a bright yellow t-shirt, and well-worn sneakers, she grabbed her notebook from her bedside table and raced downstairs. Her mum, a painter who loved swirling purple dyes with cotton candy pink, greeted Lily with a bright smile. "Morning, Lily," she said. "Breakfast is on the table, and there's fresh orange juice in the fridge." But Lily didn't move toward the table. She clutched her notebook and turned her gaze to her mum. "Mum, do you know anything about atoms?" Her mum paused, spatula mid-air. She was about to make Lily's favorite chocolate chip pancakes. "Atoms?" she repeated, a bemused expression on her face. "Just a little. They're the smallest units that make up everything, sweetie. They're like tiny puzzle pieces that fit together, in ways I don't quite understand, to make up all the objects in our universe." Lily's eyes shone. "But how?" she pressed. "How can these little pieces, like really little pieces, stack on top of each other? What do they look like inside? Does each have its own color, shape, or smell?" Her mother flipped a pancake and laughed softly. "You should ask Ms. Riverstone about that. She's the scientist who runs the research station by the lighthouse. She's studied many wonders about the world." Her mother slid a perfectly golden pancake onto a plate. "But for now, come eat." Lily wriggled with excitement. She took a seat and drew a quick sketch of a round sphere labeled Atom in her notebook. She imagined the sphere parted in half, revealing swirling bits of color inside: protons, neutrons, electrons, all spinning around in a cosmic dance. Lily's imagination soared, and she made a bold decision then and there. She would discover the secret of atoms. After breakfast, she hopped on her old teal bicycle and pedaled down the winding road that led to the shore. The ocean smell of salt and seaweed filled her nostrils. Gulls cawed overhead. Wind whooshed around her, and the sun's warmth felt like a gentle hand guiding her forward. The lighthouse stood tall at the farthest point of the beach. It had once been a lonely sentinel, but now it was home to the local research station. A few years earlier, the brilliant but friendly scientist Ms. Riverstone had set up a lab inside it. People whispered that Ms. Riverstone performed experiments late at night, the golden beam of the lighthouse flickering in strange patterns as she tinkered with her machines. Some called her an eccentric genius. Others, especially children with fertile imaginations, believed she was secretly magical. For Lily, Ms. Riverstone was the perfect person to ask about atoms. Pedaling up the slight incline, Lily approached the fence that marked the edge of the lighthouse property. A sign said, "Authorized personnel only. Knock at the door." She gulped softly, letting her bike skid to a stop. What if Ms. Riverstone was busy? Or what if she wouldn't allow a child into her lab? She took a breath, steeled her courage, and walked up to the door. It was a big, weathered wooden door with paint peeling along the edges. She raised her small fist and knocked 3 times. It was quiet for a moment. Then, all at once, the door swung open. Miss Riverstone stood before Lily with goggles perched on top of her messy auburn hair, wearing a lab coat splotched with colours, purples, blues, and reds. "Hello there," said Miss Riverstone, pushing the goggles onto her forehead. She peered down at Lily curiously. "Well, if it isn't Lily, I've seen you riding your bike along the shoreline before." Miss Riverstone had a friendly but penetrating gaze, as though she could see right through Lily's question-filled mind. Hi, Lily said, suddenly shy. "My mom said I should talk to you about atoms. I I have lots of questions." A broad smile split Miss Riverstone's face. She threw the door wider, revealing a space cluttered with test tubes, strange mechanical contraptions, and large screens blinking with lines of data. "Questions about atoms," she repeated. "Now that is my favorite thing to discuss." Stepping back so Lily could enter, she added, "Come in, come in. I've just finished an experiment, so I have time for a visitor." Lily's heart thrummed with excitement. She glanced back at the rolling sea, feeling as if she stood on the threshold of an immense adventure. And in truth, she was. "All right," Lily whispered to herself. "Let's discover the secret of atoms." She stepped inside the lab, and Miss Riverstone quietly closed the door behind her. The girl had no idea that this was the very first step in a journey that would stretch beyond anything she had ever dreamed, a journey that would take her inside an atom and reveal more wonders than she'd ever thought possible. Chapter 2. Meeting Miss Riverstone. The interior of Miss Riverstone's lab was a kaleidoscope of gadgets and gizmos that Lily had never seen before. Tables were strewn with wires, crystals glowing faintly, and test tubes containing liquids of every imaginable color. At one end of the room stood a large glass chamber shaped somewhat like an enormous fishbowl, with swirling patterns on its sides. Strange hums and beeps echoed from corners she couldn't see. Despite the oddness of the setting, Lily felt at home. Her curiosity flared with every step she took. She approached a table and gently poked a finger at a curious metallic box that looked like it might stand up and walk away at any moment. Ms. Riverstone laughed warmly. "You'll want to be careful with that one. It's a spectrometer I modified to read frequencies of subatomic particles. It's delicate, you see, so even I have to mind my hands around it." Lily widened her eyes. "Subatomic? That means smaller than atoms, right?" "You're correct. Subatomic refers to the particles that make up an atom: protons, neutrons, and electrons." Ms. Riverstone's eyes gleamed with enthusiasm. "It sounds like you know a little bit about the world of the very small." "That's what I want to learn more about," Lily explained. "I want to figure out the secret of atoms, what they look like, how they work, and why everything around me included, is made of them." Ms. Riverstone nodded as if this was the most natural wish in the world. "Ah, yes, the secrets of atoms. Many grown-ups spend their entire lives studying them and still only understand a fraction of what's going on down there." Lily recalled how sometimes she'd ask adults about these things, and they'd shrug and say, "It's too complicated," or "You'll learn in school someday." She pressed her notebook to her chest. "I'm tired of being told to wait until I'm older. I want to learn now." The scientist smiled sympathetically. "And that curiosity is exactly what leads to real discoveries. I suppose your mother guessed that I wouldn't shoo you away." Walking over to a cluttered desk, Ms. Riverstone rifled through some papers. She pulled out a plain white sheet with a diagram on it. Lily moved closer, studying the drawing. It showed a circle with smaller circles whizzing around it, almost like bees around a hive. "This is a simplified picture of an atom," Ms. Riverstone said. "We have a nucleus in the center that's made up of protons and neutrons, and we have electrons zipping around the outside in what we call orbitals." Lily studied the diagram. "I've seen something like this in my science book at school," she said. "But it only shows one kind of atom. I learned there are many different kinds, with more protons or electrons, and that's why we have all these different elements." Ms. Riverstone nodded. "That's exactly right. Every element on the periodic table has a different arrangement of protons, neutrons, and electrons. But the tiny, swirling interior, how they truly look or behave, that's a bit trickier to pin down. You see, atoms aren't static lumps that sit still in space. They're dancing, swirling energy fields. Dancing energy fields, Lily murmured, feeling goosebumps prickle along her arms. That sounds magical. In a way, it is, Ms. Riverstone said with a grin, but it's also measurable and real. There's plenty left to discover. Lily glanced around the lab, noticing that the large glass chamber with swirling designs seemed to be the focal point of the room. She pointed to it. What's that huge glass bubble for? Ms. Riverstone followed her gaze. That is my newest invention. Pride shone in her voice. I call it the Quantum Bubble Explorer. I've been working on it for years. If my calculations are correct, it might allow us to experience the subatomic world in a way no one has before. Lily felt her heart flutter. How does it work? She asked, stepping toward the bubble. Up close, she saw faint lines etched into the glass. Lights at the base cycled through colors, giving the bubble an otherworldly glow. I can't share all the secrets, Ms. Riverstone teased, but the idea is this. If we can manipulate certain quantum fields, we might be able to scale down, not physically, but in terms of consciousness or perspective, to witness the subatomic universe from the inside. It's a bit like virtual reality, but it uses real quantum data instead of simulated images. Lily's mouth hung open in wonder. You mean a person can kind of shrink down into an atom? Something along those lines, yes. Although not physically, like in those old science fiction stories. More like we'd be hooking into the signals of the subatomic realm. Our senses, especially sight and sound, would be translated into a form we can perceive. The notion sounded both thrilling and a bit scary. Lily considered it. Have you tried it yet? Ms. Riverstone laughed. Not exactly, no. I've done tests, but never a full journey. I'm missing a key piece of the puzzle, some sort of perspective or fresh insight to get the final calibration right. Her gaze fell on Lily. And that's why perhaps your arrival might be more than coincidence. You have a clear, burning curiosity about atoms. Sometimes a youthful mind can see solutions that an adult mind can't. Lily fidgeted with the edge of her notebook. She could hardly dare to hope that Miss Riverstone might let her try the Quantum Bubble Explorer, but the idea sparked excitement in her chest. What if I could see inside an atom with my own eyes? Miss Riverstone seemed to read Lily's mind. She walked over to the bubble and placed a hand on its glass surface. I'm not making any promises, Lily, but if you'd like to help me with my experiments, and if we make sure it's safe, perhaps, just perhaps, we can give it a test drive together. Lily's heart pounded so loudly, she wondered if Miss Riverstone could hear it. Me? Help you? Yes, absolutely, she practically shouted, bouncing on the balls of her feet. Where do we start? The scientist pulled a set of goggles down over her eyes, which made her look slightly comical, but also very serious. She handed Lily a smaller pair. We start by observing. We'll run some data through the machines, see what the Quantum Bubble Explorer picks up, and then figure out the best way to calibrate it. Are you ready to do some serious science? Grinning ear to ear, Lily nodded. Yes, I'm ready. She flipped open her notebook, ready to scribble down notes. In that moment, an unspoken partnership formed between Ms. Riverstone and Lily, a curious child and a brilliant scientist, bound by a shared desire to unravel the secrets of atoms. What Lily didn't know was how truly out of this world the results of these experiments would be, or how deeply they would change her understanding of everything around her. Chapter 3. Tuning the Bubble. Lily spent the next several afternoons helping Ms. Riverstone in the lighthouse lab. After school, she would pedal over on her bicycle, her notebook perched in the bike's basket, and slip inside the wooden door. Ms. Riverstone always seemed pleased to see her. The scientist would wave Lily over, show her the day's progress, and invite her to watch as she fiddled with the bubble's control panels. Inside the lab, it was seldom quiet. Even when Ms. Riverstone was not speaking, the machines hummed and buzzed, fans whirred, and occasionally bits of metal clanked as Ms. Riverstone made adjustments. She had scattered half-built contraptions across various tables, each one with a distinct purpose in her research. Lily learned new terms every day: quantum states, electromagnetic pulses, wave-particle duality. They sounded like magic spells from a fantasy novel, but Ms. Riverstone explained them patiently, letting Lily ask all the whys and hows she could muster. In her notebook, Lily jotted everything down, though many of the concepts were still far beyond her understanding. "There are so many pieces to this puzzle," Ms. Riverstone said one afternoon, turning a dial on a silver console next to the quantum bubble explorer. A faint glow emanated from the base of the bubble. "To perceive the subatomic world, we need to translate signals that are smaller than anything our human senses can normally detect." Lily nodded, resting her chin in her hands as she watched the lights flicker. "So it's like we're building a special language to talk to atoms." "That's a beautiful way of putting it," Ms. Riverstone replied, a twinkle in her eye. "Yes, exactly. Our instruments pick up the language of particles in the form of vibrations, frequencies, and energy levels. Then the explorer will convert that into sights and sounds we recognize." Lily's gaze flicked over to the bubble. "And that's how I'll be able to see inside an atom, like it's a whole little world." Ms. Riverstone adjusted a knob and then stepped back. "If all goes according to plan, yes. You'll see the swirling electrons, the protons and neutrons in the nucleus, and maybe even some quantum fluctuations that happen around them." Lily traced the faint swirl patterns on the bubble's glass surface with her eyes. "I want to see it so badly," she whispered. Ms. Riverstone placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. "Soon," she promised. "But first, we must test. It's not just about turning the machine on. We have to be sure your mind and body remain safe, that we don't overload your senses or cause confusion." The days passed in a blur of excitement and waiting. Lily would come home in the evenings and tell her mother tidbits of what she'd learned, though, out of respect for Miss Riverstone's privacy, she kept many details to herself. Still, her mother could see the glow on Lily's face. Lily's mother smiled at her daughter's enthusiasm, painting bold swirl after swirl on her canvases in a seeming reflection of Lily's new passion. One afternoon, a few weeks after Lily's first visit to the lighthouse, Miss Riverstone finally said, "I think we're almost ready." Lily's heart leapt. She nearly spilled the beaker of water she was carrying. "You mean—" "Yes. Our tests indicate the system is stable and can handle a human occupant, or, more accurately, a human brain's perspective." Ms. Riverstone gave a little shiver of excitement. "But I would like to run a small test. Are you up for a practice run?" Lily nodded so quickly that her ponytail whipped around her head. "Absolutely." That evening, after Lily's dinner at home, she returned to the lighthouse as dusk settled across Brine Bay. The lighthouse's beams swept over the ocean in rhythmic pulses, and the gentle sound of waves reached Lily's ears, soothing her anxious heart. Would the test run be safe? Miss Riverstone seemed sure it would be. Still, the unknown had a weight in Lily's stomach, half fear and half anticipation. When Lily walked into the lab, Miss Riverstone was by the bubble, flipping switches on the console. "We're only going to power it to 20% tonight," she explained. "You'll sit inside. The seat is comfortable, but you'll need these." She handed Lily a pair of silver gloves and a small headset. "The gloves measure your physical signals, heartbeat, temperature, that sort of thing. The headset monitors your brain waves." Lily slid her hands into the gloves, marveling at how snug but flexible they felt. Then she lifted the headset gingerly and placed it on her head, just behind her ears. She felt a light hum, as if the device was springing to life. Miss Riverstone opened a small door at the back of the glass bubble. Lily stepped through and found a cushioned chair inside, facing a curved panel of glass. The interior was big enough for her to sit comfortably, though an adult would have felt a little cramped. She noticed small LED lights embedded in the walls of the bubble. They glowed softly, cycling through pastel colors. "You won't see the subatomic world tonight," Ms. Riverstone warned, "but you might see shapes or lights flickering in your mind's eye. That's a sign the machine is linking up with your sensory input. We just want to test that everything is stable." Feeling her nerves flutter, Lily gave Ms. Riverstone a determined nod. "I'm ready." Ms. Riverstone carefully shut the bubble door, and Lily watched as she pressed a button on the console. The overhead lights in the lab dimmed slightly, and the bubble pulsed with a gentle glow. There was a humming noise that Lily felt more than heard, a low vibration that made her skin tingle. "Try to relax," Ms. Riverstone's voice came through a small speaker inside the bubble. "Close your eyes if you want to. Breathe slowly." Lily followed the instructions, inhaling, exhaling. Her heart beat quickly, but she tried to calm it down. She closed her eyes, and after a few moments, shapes flickered behind her eyelids, soft, shimmering lights that danced like fireflies in the dark. "Amazing," Lily whispered. "I can see little lights in my mind." Ms. Riverstone's gentle voice spoke again. "That's a good sign. The data stream is connecting with your visual cortex. Keep breathing slowly." The humming grew more pronounced. The lights in Lily's mind shifted, as if forming patterns, rolling spirals, swirls, and shifting shapes that mimicked the swirl patterns on the bubble's glass. She felt a warm sensation in her arms and legs, not unpleasant at all. It was almost comforting, like a cozy blanket that also sparkled. Then, just as Lily was getting used to the feeling, the bubble lights winked off, and the hum ceased. Ms. Riverstone opened the small door and stepped in, a wide smile on her face. "That was perfect," she declared, helping Lily remove the headset. "Your vitals remain normal, and your brain waves showed healthy patterns. No sign of stress beyond a bit of excitement." Lily nodded eagerly, stepping out of the bubble. "It was wild. I saw lights, shapes, patterns. It was like I was drifting in a sky of twinkling stars, and I felt safe." "That's exactly what we want," Ms. Riverstone replied. She busied herself with reading the data logs on a tablet. "We'll do a full run tomorrow, if you're still willing." "If I'm still willing," Lily beamed. "I've never been more ready in my life." Ms. Riverstone patted Lily's shoulder and led her toward the exit. Outside, the summer night air greeted them, and the lighthouse beam cut across the dark sky. The ocean rumbled softly beneath the craggy rocks. As Lily prepared to ride her bike home, Ms. Riverstone gave her a conspiratorial grin. "Tomorrow, Lily, you'll glimpse something few have ever dreamed possible. Go get a good night's sleep." Lily nodded, though she doubted she'd be able to sleep at all. Her head buzzed with anticipation. She hopped onto her bike, the moon lighting her path as she sped home. "I'm going to journey inside an atom," she thought. The magnitude of the idea made her stomach flip, but she felt more exhilarated than scared. Before bed, Lily scribbled a final note in her journal. "Tomorrow is the day I find out the secret of atoms, or at least see them up close." She closed her notebook and turned off the lamp, heart thrumming like a drum. Little did she know just how extraordinary her next day would be, or how it would forever change the way she saw the world. Chapter 4. Entering the Atom. The day dawned bright and clear. Lily raced through her morning routine, heart aflutter with anticipation. She barely managed a quick breakfast before dashing off to the lighthouse. She arrived at Ms. Riverstone's door just as the scientist was unlocking it. "My, you're early," Ms. Riverstone exclaimed, voice tinged with excitement. "I love that enthusiasm." Lily stepped in, greeting the now familiar hum of machines. Today, Ms. Riverstone had set up an additional bank of monitors next to the console. Digital lines zigzagged on the screens, reflecting the streams of data from the bubble. "Are we doing the full power run?" Lily asked, eyes wide. "Yes," Ms. Riverstone said, "but we'll go slowly, gradually increasing power as you adapt. If it becomes overwhelming at any point, just say so. The last thing we want is to frighten you. Lily swallowed, some of her excitement spiking into nervousness. I understand, she whispered. They proceeded with the setup. Lily once again donned the silver gloves, but this time Miss Riverstone fitted her with a slightly larger headset, complete with ear coverings that pulsed faintly when powered on. This is a more advanced sensor, she explained. It'll give you an auditory experience as well. You may hear subatomic frequencies translated into sound. It might be like music, or it might be strange. Are you prepared? Lily took a breath, nodding solemnly. Yes. Finally, Miss Riverstone helped her climb inside the Quantum Bubble Explorer. She settled onto the seat, the swirling designs on the glass now familiar yet still mysterious. Miss Riverstone leaned in through the small door and squeezed Lily's hand reassuringly. Remember, if you feel overwhelmed, just say so, and I'll turn it off immediately. Lily nodded. Thank you, Miss Riverstone. With that, Miss Riverstone closed the door, sealing Lily inside. Through the glass, Lily watched Miss Riverstone press a series of buttons on the control console. The overhead lights dimmed, and a soft whirring filled the bubble. Thump, 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 thump. Lily's heartbeat drummed in her ears, but she was determined. She let her eyelids drift closed, focusing on her breath. In, out, in, out. Slowly, the whirring grew in volume. Lights danced on Lily's closed eyelids, forming kaleidoscopic patterns. A gentle rush of static whispered in her ears through the headset, like the sound of distant ocean waves. Then, with a final whoosh, Lily felt weightless, like she was drifting in a place that wasn't quite the lab anymore. Cautiously, she opened her eyes. The glass bubble was gone. Or rather, it seemed gone, replaced by a swirling maelstrom of color and light. She looked down, but she couldn't see her own body in any normal sense. Instead, she perceived a soft, glowing outline where her arms and legs should be. Can you hear me? Miss Riverstone's voice reached her, echoing in a way that suggested they weren't in the same space. Yes, Lily managed, her voice quavering with awe. Good, came Miss Riverstone's reply. I have the Explorer at 30% capacity. How do you feel? Lily took stock of herself. She felt no pain, just a curious tingling sensation all over. She was enveloped in colors she had no name for, like rainbow swirls, but richer and more complex, as if they existed beyond normal hues. I feel fine, Lily said. It's beautiful here. Excellent, Ms. Riverstone said. I'm going to bring it up to 50% now. You should start perceiving more structure soon. Stay calm. The swirl of colors began to shift, taking on faint shapes. Lily noticed certain areas seemed to condense into swirling orbs of energy, while others shot off in lines, crossing paths like cosmic highways. It reminded her of pictures of galaxies, except on a tinier scale. She had the odd sense that she was inside something unbelievably small, yet it felt vast as a universe. At that moment, Lily heard a faint buzzing tune. It rose and fell in pitch, sometimes ringing like a bell, other times like a gentle hum. It danced around her ears, sometimes near, sometimes far, making her think of bumblebees in a flower garden. But these were no normal bumblebees. They were frequencies, energies, something quantum that her brain was now interpreting as sound. This is wonderful, Lily exclaimed. I'm hearing songs. Miss Riverstone's voice had that grin-like quality. Music of the subatomic realm, perhaps. Every electron shell resonates at a certain energy level. Let's go to 80% capacity now. Are you ready? Yes, Lily breathed. She braced herself, though she didn't know what for. As the power increased, the swirling lights began to organize. Lily saw or felt, it was hard to separate the senses, a massive sphere at the center, like a core that glowed with pulsing energy. Surrounding it were smaller orbs, each dancing along invisible lines or shells. Some zipped by quickly, while others hovered as if in slow motion. Is that? Lily began, words failing her. That's the nucleus, Miss Riverstone answered. Those bigger particles you sense are protons and neutrons. The smaller, zipping ones are electrons. Each has its own probability cloud, but the explorer is converting that into something more visually recognizable. Lily let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She was witnessing the heart of an atom, or at least a translation of it, something her human mind could grasp. The nucleus glowed with a shimmering golden light, and every so often a flash of color danced around it, electrons bounding across energy levels. Then the music changed. It became a symphony of hums, each frequency weaving in and out, sometimes colliding to create a brief cacophony. Lily felt tears forming at the corners of her eyes. This was it. She was experiencing the inside of an atom in real time, hearing and seeing the fundamental building blocks of matter. She inched closer to the nucleus, though she wasn't sure how she was moving. Perhaps it was her intention that drove her forward in this quantum dreamscape. The protons and neutrons seemed like swirling clusters of smaller lights themselves. Quarks, maybe. She had learned in passing that protons and neutrons were made of quarks. The bubble system must be showing that as well, tiny shimmering points flickering in and out of existence, bound together by something Lily couldn't quite define. "Lily, your heart rate is stable," Ms. Riverstone's voice said. "How do you feel?" "I feel amazed," Lily replied. "I see all these swirling patterns. It's like I'm floating in a cosmic ocean." "And you haven't seen anything yet," Ms. Riverstone said gently. "I'm going to push the Explorer to 100% for just a moment. This is the maximum setting. Then I'll power us down. Ready?" Lily braced herself, nodding in the swirling void. "Ready." Another shift, this time more intense. The colors flared bright, the sounds crescendoed into an orchestral burst that made Lily's chest vibrate. The nucleus expanded before her eyes. She saw patterns within patterns, fractal shapes twisting into infinity. She felt that she was peering into the very tapestry of reality itself, seeing how everything wove together at the smallest scale. Every proton was a miniature storm of energy, dancing with its neighbor in perfect step. A rush of awe overwhelmed Lily. She realized with sudden clarity, everything is connected, even on the smallest levels. She had always wondered how the world held together, and here, in this swirling quantum playground, she felt the answer deep in her core. Then, with a gentle descending tone, the lights began to fade. The swirl of colors receded, replaced by the faint glow of the bubble's interior. Lily blinked, finding herself back in her body, seated in the chair. The hum of the lab's machines took the place of the cosmic symphony, and Ms. Riverstone's face appeared in the small bubble door. "Welcome back," the scientist said softly. "Are you okay?" Lily stumbled out of the seat, her legs feeling like jelly. Ms. Riverstone caught her, guiding her gently to a nearby stool. "You've been in there for only about 10 minutes, but from the data, it looks like we got a full experience at the end." Lily's heart still pounded. That was indescribable," she managed. "I saw the nucleus, the protons, the electrons. They were all swirling and singing. Everything was so alive." Ms. Riverstone smiled, her eyes shining with the glow of discovery. "That's exactly why I built the Explorer, to show how vibrant and real the subatomic world is. It's not just tiny specks in a textbook diagram. It's a whole realm of energy and motion." Trembling with adrenaline, Lily took off the gloves and headset. She tried to calm herself, to put what she'd experienced into words for her notebook, but no words seemed to do it justice. Finally, she turned to Miss Riverstone, tears of wonder brimming in her eyes. "How is it even possible that we're made of all that dancing light?" she asked softly. Miss Riverstone knelt down, placing a reassuring hand on Lily's shoulder. "That's the miracle of existence, Lily. We're each a bundle of atoms, each atom a complex world of subatomic particles, each subatomic particle a swirl of energy and probability. The secrets of atoms are the secrets of life, in a way." Lily swallowed hard, her mind spinning like a top. She realized that her childlike wish to see inside an atom had come true, but it was more than she ever bargained for. She felt both humbled and empowered. The universe might be unfathomably big, but in the subatomic realm it was equally unfathomably small, and she had just touched that reality. They spent the next hour in a peaceful hush, Ms. Riverstone and Lily reviewing the data from the Explorer. Numbers and graphs filled the lab's screens, but for Lily, the real imprint was in her heart, where the memory of that swirling quantum ballet danced on. Before Lily left that day, Ms. Riverstone surprised her with a hug. "Thank you for being brave," she said. "I think I might have needed your curiosity to remind me why I do this in the first place." Lily grinned, hugging her back. "Thank you. Now, my big question is, what happens next? Can we explore even deeper?" Ms. Riverstone's eyes sparkled. "Perhaps. Atoms hold infinite mysteries, but we should tread carefully. Even seeing what we've seen can be overwhelming." Lily nodded. As she stepped out of the lab and into the bright daylight, the world around her felt different. The stones beneath her feet, the salt in the air, the sunshine warming her skin, all were made of whirling atoms, and each atom was a realm of complexity. Lily felt both tiny and enormous at once, standing at the threshold of discovery, feeling the hum of the universe in every breath. Chapter 5. The Hidden Realm. For the next several days, Lily found it hard to concentrate on anything else: school, chores, or even playing with her friends. Her mind kept wandering back to the subatomic world she had experienced. She'd catch herself staring at her pencil in class, thinking, "This pencil is made of billions of atoms, each with a swirling nucleus and dancing electrons. And I've been there." Her teacher noticed Lily's distraction. "Is everything okay?" she asked gently when Lily turned in a quiz half finished. Lily nodded, avoiding the question. How could I explain that I traveled inside an atom and can't stop thinking about it? Each evening, Lily rushed to the lighthouse lab, trying to balance her homework with her unstoppable curiosity. Ms. Riverstone was more than accommodating. She let Lily help calibrate new readings, run small tests, or simply observe the Explorer in operation. Sometimes Ms. Riverstone used the bubble herself, hooking up a new set of instruments to gather data. Whenever Lily watched Ms. Riverstone inside the bubble, she felt a swirl of pride. "We're exploring something no one else has seen quite like this." One day, Lily mustered the courage to ask something that had been gnawing at her. "Ms. Riverstone," she began hesitantly, "atoms exist in everything, right? Trees, oceans, me. Then, if we can travel inside one atom, does that mean each new atom might be a new place to explore?" Ms. Riverstone turned from the console, flipping up her goggles. "In theory, yes," she said. "Every atom is slightly different, especially if it belongs to a different element or even a different part of the same element. And if we delve deep enough, we might see differences in how the quarks and fields behave." She paused, then added, "But you're thinking about exploring all of them, aren't you?" Lily smiled sheepishly. "I can't help it. There's so much to see." Ms. Riverstone chuckled. "You remind me of myself at your age. One discovery just isn't enough, but we do need caution. Every time you link with the subatomic realm, you get a massive influx of data. We need to ensure you don't burn yourself out." Lily understood the concern. Still, she couldn't deny the pull in her heart. She wanted to see more. The swirling nucleus she'd glimpsed might just be the tip of the iceberg. Or the tip of the quarkberg, she thought, smiling at her silly pun. That evening, Ms. Riverstone presented Lily with a surprise. "I've made some upgrades," she said, pointing to the Explorer. "I've installed specialized filters so that we can explore certain aspects of an atom, like focusing on the electrons first, or maybe just the nucleus. That way, it's not quite so overwhelming." Lily's eyes sparkled. "So I can go back in and look specifically at the nucleus or the electrons?" Ms. Riverstone nodded. "Yes, with a narrower focus. But let's do short sessions so you don't get overloaded. Lily agreed, excitement coursing through her. After they performed some safety checks, Lily climbed back into the bubble, wearing the specialized headset. She felt the now familiar hum, and once more the swirling realm appeared. This time, Ms. Riverstone activated the nucleus filter, and Lily watched in awe as the electron orbits faded somewhat, revealing the nucleus in sharper detail. She saw the clusters of protons and neutrons, except now they didn't look like solid spheres. They flickered and danced with internal energies, as if each proton contained swirling lights of its own. Lily moved closer. Her heart caught in her throat as she realized she was seeing subatomic structures, like quarks. The newly installed filter gave these quarks a faint outline, each flickering in and out of existence faster than Lily could track. She was reminded of blinking fireflies, only these fireflies held the force that bound entire worlds together. After only a few minutes, Ms. Riverstone pulled Lily back. The swirl of colors faded. Lily blinked, back in the bubble. She felt a slight headache forming, but the thrill of discovery overshadowed any discomfort. When Lily exited, Ms. Riverstone scanned her with a small device. "Your vitals are good," she said, "and your brain waves look normal. Just be sure to drink water and rest. This is a lot for a child, or anyone, to process." Lily nodded, accepting a glass of water gratefully. "The nucleus is so busy," she said, voice trembling with excitement. "I never realized how alive it is in there." Ms. Riverstone handed Lily a cool compress for her forehead. "Yes, it's a kind of dance," she agreed. "Those quarks are held together by the strong nuclear force, one of the four fundamental forces of nature. Even though I've studied it all my life, seeing it through your eyes is mind-blowing." Lily pressed the compress to her forehead, thinking back on the quarks' shimmering dance. "It's so different from what the pictures in my textbooks show," she said softly. "The diagrams are always static, like little spheres, but inside, everything moves like a living thing." "That's the wonder of quantum physics," Ms. Riverstone said. "Nothing is truly still, especially at that scale." Still, Lily thought, taking a sip of water, there must be more. She had explored the electron orbitals, glimpsed the nucleus, even spied quarks. But what about entire molecules, or the way atoms bonded together? The deeper she went, the more questions multiplied. As if reading her mind, Ms. Riverstone patted Lily's shoulder. "One step at a time," she said gently. "Take the weekend off. Let your mind digest what you've seen. Then we can plan our next exploration together." Lily nodded, realizing she was indeed tired. She hadn't noticed how drained she felt until that moment. Bidding Ms. Riverstone goodbye, Lily stepped out into the crisp evening air. The sky above was strewn with stars, burning balls of gas and plasma, themselves made of countless atoms fusing in cosmic furnaces. Lily gazed at them and whispered, "Even there, inside those stars, the atoms are dancing too." That night, she lay in bed, listening to the hush of the ocean through her open window. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw subatomic fireworks dancing behind her eyelids. She realized that the secret of atoms, the question that had started this journey, wasn't just about smallness. It was about the strange and wondrous way the universe decided to bind energy into matter. It was about the symphony of forces that allowed her, a small girl in a small town, to exist in a cosmos of unthinkable vastness. Eventually, Lily dozed off, dreaming of swirling lights and the soft music of electrons. Little did she know that her next adventure was just around the corner, and it would bring a surprising twist neither she nor Miss Riverstone had anticipated. Chapter 6. A Bubble of Her Own. On Monday morning, Lily found a handwritten invitation tucked into the front pocket of her school backpack. It read, "Dear Lily, I've been working on something special for you. Please come by the lab after school today. You'll need to see it for yourself. Miss Riverstone." Lily's stomach flipped in excitement. She spent the whole school day fidgeting with anticipation, waiting for the final bell. When it finally rang, she practically flew out the classroom door, hopped on her bike, and pedaled hard to the lighthouse. She found Miss Riverstone outside, carefully examining the large lenses that helped shine the lighthouse's beacon into the night. The scientist wore her usual lab coat, goggles perched on her head, and a smudge of grease on one cheek. "Lily," she greeted, setting down a wrench. "Perfect timing. Come inside. I have something to show you." Lily followed her into the lab, her eyes sweeping over the tables of instruments. "Is it a new upgrade?" she asked, glancing at the bubble. She saw no visible changes to the Explorer. "Sort of," Ms. Riverstone teased. "You've been so dedicated and brave in your explorations. I wanted to do something special. Create a version of the Explorer that, well, might be more personal to you." Lily tilted her head in confusion. "Personal?" Ms. Riverstone led Lily to a workbench near the back of the room, draped with a large cloth. She gripped the cloth's edge. "Close your eyes," she instructed. Lily squeezed her eyes shut. She heard the rustle of fabric, then Ms. Riverstone's voice, tinged with excitement. "All right, open them." Lily opened her eyes and gasped. On the table sat what looked like a smaller version of the quantum bubble explorer, shaped like a translucent sphere about the size of a beach ball. Instead of the swirling designs etched into the glass, it had swirling patterns in a gentle lilac color that glowed faintly. Lily reached out to touch it. It was smooth and warm, humming softly under her fingertips. "What is it?" Lily asked breathlessly. Ms. Riverstone grinned. "I call it your Personal Bubble Explorer, or PBE for short. It won't let you fully immerse like the big one can, but it has a holographic interface. You can hold it, sit with it, and see partial glimpses of the subatomic world in real time." Lily's eyes widened. "You mean I can explore atoms any time, just by using this sphere?" "In a limited capacity, yes," Ms. Riverstone explained. "It doesn't have the same power as the main Explorer, so it's safer for you to handle alone. It links to your phone or computer, and it has built-in sensors to detect the environment around it. You can place a tiny sample of something, like a leaf or a drop of water, into the sphere through a small intake valve. Then, the PBE will analyze the atomic structure of that sample and create a holographic, partially interactive display inside the sphere." Lily's heart soared. "This is incredible. But when did you have time to make it?" Ms. Riverstone shrugged sheepishly. "I've been working on prototypes for a while, just smaller, simpler versions of the main Explorer. But after seeing your curiosity and courage, I focused on finishing a workable model. Now it's yours, under a few conditions." "Name them," Lily said, hugging the sphere gently. "1. Promise you'll be safe. Don't try to hack it or override the power settings," Ms. Riverstone said, with mock sternness, though her eyes glittered. 2. Keep it secret from prying eyes. We don't want 100 people banging on the lighthouse door demanding their own bubble. This technology is still experimental." Lily nodded vigorously. "I promise. I'll treat it carefully and use it wisely." Ms. Riverstone smiled. "Good. Now, do you want to try it out?" "Absolutely," Lily exclaimed. They spent the next hour learning how to operate the PBE Ms. Riverstone demonstrated by placing a tiny snippet of a leaf into the intake valve. Lights flickered inside the sphere. Then, to Lily's wonder, the interior of the sphere lit up with a miniaturized version of atomic structures. Lily could peer through the glass and see the holographic nucleus and electron orbits of the leaf cell's atoms. It wasn't as vivid as her full immersion experiences, but it was still a mesmerizing window into the subatomic realm. When Lily held the sphere in her hands, she felt that same soft humming that she'd felt in the full bubble. She realized it was scanning the sample, converting the quantum data into a holographic display. The patterns danced, shifting as she tilted the sphere from side to side, almost like a living kaleidoscope. "This is the best gift ever," Lily whispered, tears prickling her eyes. Ms. Riverstone blushed, smoothing her lab coat. I'm happy to see you so excited, but remember, it's not a toy, though it is fun. Use it to explore, to learn, to ask more questions. Lily couldn't stop smiling. That night, she carefully wrapped the bubble in a soft cloth and carried it home in her bike's basket, taking the smoothest route possible to avoid bumps. She placed it gently on her desk, plugging it into a small power base Miss Riverstone had provided. It glowed faintly, like a comforting nightlight. As Lily lay in bed, she stared at the PBE. Just days ago, her biggest wish was to understand the secret of atoms. Now she had a bubble that let her glimpse the subatomic world whenever she wanted. She drifted off, imagining all the adventures she could have. The leaf was just the start. She could explore water, sand, a piece of her own hair, anything. She didn't realize that the greatest surprise was yet to come, because the following day, something very unexpected would happen, something that even Miss Riverstone's genius hadn't foreseen. Chapter 7. A Subatomic Surprise. The next morning, Lily woke early, excitement fueling her like rocket fuel. She quickly grabbed the bubble from her desk. Her mother was already downstairs, sipping tea and sketching a new painting. Lily approached with the bubble clutched in both hands. "Mom," she asked tentatively, "could I take a strand of your hair for a little experiment?" Her mother raised an amused eyebrow. "That depends." "Will it hurt?" Lily giggled. "Just one strand. I promise I won't pull too hard." Her mother plucked a single strand from her head and handed it over. Lily thanked her, then rushed to her room. She slipped the strand of hair into the PBE's intake valve, biting her lip in anticipation. Sure enough, the bubble began to hum. Faint lights sparkled within, forming a miniature display. Leaning in close, Lily could see the subatomic structure forming. It wasn't as clear as her full immersion experiences, but she recognized the nucleus of carbon atoms, the swirling electrons, and more. "Wow," Lily breathed. "So this is what makes up my mom's hair?" She carefully removed the strand when the scan finished. Deciding to try something else, she rummaged in her desk until she found a small crystal she'd collected on the beach. She slipped that in. New patterns appeared inside the bubble, silicon and oxygen atoms forming repeating structures. She marveled at the geometric symmetry. So neat. It was nearly time for school, so Lily tucked the bubble away and jogged off to class. All day she could hardly focus. "I can't wait to try scanning more things," she thought. After school, she rode home, bursting with plans to explore the subatomic structure of everything from orange juice to her cat's whiskers, if she could find one that had fallen out naturally. But when she opened the door to her bedroom, she froze. The PBE's glow flickered erratically, and there was an odd whirring noise, louder than before. Lily stepped closer, concern twisting in her stomach. A swirl of light spun within the bubble, far more chaotic than usual. "What's going on?" she whispered. As she reached out to touch the bubble, the lights inside flared bright, and then, with a soft pop, a cluster of shimmering shapes erupted from the surface and hovered in the air for a split second before disappearing. Lily's jaw dropped. Her mother's voice floated up the stairs. "Lily? Everything okay?" Lily swallowed. I think so," she called back, mind racing. She examined the sphere. It was quiet now, the glow steady, as if nothing strange had happened. Did I imagine that? She wondered. Unease prickled her. She decided to skip scanning anything else just then. Instead, she made her way to the lighthouse, bubble in hand, to ask Miss Riverstone what she thought. The scientist listened carefully as Lily described what she'd seen. "You say shapes, like the subatomic patterns, came out of the sphere?" Miss Riverstone asked, incredulous. "That's what it looked like. Just for a moment," Lily said. "It was like a tiny flock of glowing fireflies, and then they vanished." Ms. Riverstone tapped her chin. The PBE shouldn't be able to project anything outside itself, certainly not spontaneously, unless some glitch in the holographic emitter caused a short-range projection. "Is that dangerous?" Lily asked, anxiety building. I wouldn't say dangerous, just unexpected, Ms. Riverstone reassured. Let's do a diagnostic. For the next hour, Ms. Riverstone ran tests on the bubble. She scrolled through lines of code on a screen, occasionally muttering things like, "That's odd," and "Never seen that happen." Eventually, she turned to Lily with a perplexed smile. "I can't find any mechanical errors," she said. "Everything is functioning within normal parameters." Lily fidgeted. "So, did I imagine it?" Ms. Riverstone shook her head. "I wouldn't dismiss your observation. Perhaps the glitch was momentary. If it happens again, take note. Meanwhile, we'll keep an eye on it." Relief mingled with confusion in Lily's heart. She spent the rest of the evening in the lab, helping Ms. Riverstone with a new batch of data from the main explorer. Yet her thoughts kept drifting back to that odd moment in her bedroom. She could still picture the shimmering shapes floating in midair. For the first time, the subatomic realm hadn't just been something she looked into. It seemed to be trying to step out into her world. As Lily pedaled home that night, the lighthouse beams sweeping overhead, she felt a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. "Maybe the bubble is more powerful than we thought," she mused. She recalled Ms. Riverstone's warning about not overriding power settings, but she hadn't done anything unusual. Could the bubble itself hold secrets Ms. Riverstone hadn't fully understood? At home, Lily set the bubble on her desk again. This time it glowed steadily, no flickers or odd noises. She exhaled a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "It looks normal now." She decided to let it rest and hopped into bed. That night, she dreamed of glowing orbs drifting out of the bubble, dancing around her bedroom. The orbs made tinkling bell sounds, each swirl of light forming a shape reminiscent of protons and electrons. In the dream, Lily reached out to touch one, and it felt warm beneath her fingertips, but then it dissolved into sparkles. When she awoke, she was half convinced she'd glimpsed the future. The bubble was still quiet, sitting innocently on her desk. She shrugged off the dream and got ready for school, hoping that whatever glitch had occurred was gone. But little did she know that glitch was just the beginning of a phenomenon that would reveal a startling new secret about atoms, one that neither she nor Ms. Riverstone had ever expected. Chapter 8. The Dance of Creation. Over the next few days, Lily used the bubble carefully. She scanned a petal from a daisy, a drop of salt water from the ocean, even a bit of chalk dust from the classroom. Each time, the bubble worked flawlessly, displaying the mesmerizing subatomic structures inside. She almost convinced herself that the fireflies incident was a one-time fluke. But then, on a quiet Wednesday afternoon, it happened again, this time with Ms. Riverstone present. They were in the lab, the bubble resting on a counter. Lily had just scanned a grain of sand. She and Ms. Riverstone watched the holographic display of silicon and oxygen atoms shift in real time. Suddenly, the bubble emitted a strange chime. A pulse of light swept through it, and then tiny sparks of glowing energy zipped out, hovering in the air before winking out of sight. Ms. Riverstone stared, her mouth agape. "So you weren't imagining it," she whispered. Lily's pulse thundered. "What? What is that?" Ms. Riverstone pressed a hand to her forehead, deep in thought. "It looks like a partial projection of subatomic data into our air, but it's flickering in and out of existence as if it's real energy, not just light illusions." She quickly moved to a nearby desk, grabbing a handheld spectrometer. She aimed it at the space where the sparks had appeared. For a moment, the device beeped with readings. Then the sparks vanished. Shaking her head in wonder, Ms. Riverstone studied the device. "It's faint, but I'm picking up a trace of some sort of ephemeral energy signature, like quantum foam popping in and out of existence." Lily's skin tingled. She recalled something Ms. Riverstone once said, that the vacuum of space was never truly empty. Quantum particles constantly flickered in and out of existence. Was the bubble somehow amplifying that effect? Ms. Riverstone placed the spectrometer down. "Let's think. The bubble shouldn't be strong enough to physically manipulate quantum fields outside itself. Unless Your direct interactions with the bubble triggered something. Lily frowned. What do you mean? Ms. Riverstone paced. I've noticed the bubble seems to respond strongly to your presence. It's calibrated to your brainwaves, after all. Maybe your curiosity, your intention, is feeding into its sensors, and in turn, it's trying to project part of that quantum data into our macroscopic world. Lily's eyes went wide. You're saying I'm partially creating these floating shapes? Like, with my mind and the bubble together? Ms. Riverstone paused, looking half thrilled, half terrified. Possibly. Observation can influence quantum states, after all. It's a principle of quantum mechanics. When we measure or observe something at the subatomic level, we affect its behavior. This was bigger than anything Lily had imagined. She stared at the bubble, her pulse racing. Is that bad? Ms. Riverstone sighed, placing a calming hand on Lily's shoulder. Not necessarily, but it's uncharted territory. If we're starting to cause fleeting subatomic phenomena to appear in our everyday world, we need to be extremely cautious. We don't fully understand the implications. Lily swallowed hard. A swirl of excitement and fear churned in her belly. She'd wanted to uncover the secret of atoms. Now it seemed that she and the bubble were rewriting the rules about how atoms might appear in normal reality. She thought back to her dream of orbs dancing around her bedroom. Was it possible that a day would come when entire subatomic structures manifested around her? Ms. Riverstone must have seen the worry in Lily's eyes, because she knelt down to look Lily in the face. Hey, we'll figure this out, okay? We'll test carefully. You won't be alone in this. And if it ever feels too scary, we'll turn off the bubble. Lily nodded, her voice small. I don't want to break reality or something. Ms. Riverstone gave a reassuring laugh. Reality's more robust than that, but we do need to respect it. Now, let's run a few more scans while I measure the external field around the bubble. They spent the rest of the afternoon conducting careful experiments. Ms. Riverstone monitored the bubble's energy field, while Lily scanned simple materials. A bit of paper, a drop of ink, a chip of wood. Each time, faint flickers of energy danced in the air, more or less pronounced depending on Lily's focus. When Lily really concentrated on what she was seeing inside the bubble, the flickers became stronger and lingered longer. It's definitely tied to your observation, Ms. Riverstone noted, eyebrows knitting in concentration. When you lose focus, the phenomena fade quickly. Lily felt a surge of wonder. She recalled reading about the double-slit experiment, how observing particles can change the outcome. Was I actively shaping subatomic reality just by focusing on it? By evening, Ms. Riverstone looked exhausted, yet exhilarated. She patted the bubble affectionately. We might have stumbled upon a new frontier of quantum physics, Lily, she said. The next steps are up to us, but we have to be safe. Lily placed a hand over the sphere, feeling its gentle hum. So, I hold in my hands a device that can bring subatomic patterns into visible reality, if only for a moment. Ms. Riverstone nodded. Yes, it seems so. The question is, what do we do with that power? A thoughtful silence followed. Lily felt the weight of the question. She was only a kid, but she sensed the enormity of this discovery. The bubble wasn't just a tool for seeing atoms. It was a bridge between the quantum and human worlds, between energy and matter. Maybe we should keep studying it, Lily said finally. Learn from it. And maybe we can teach people how amazing the world really is, from the inside out. Ms. Riverstone smiled, eyes warm. That's a beautiful idea. Let's do that, but carefully. That night, as Lily once again rode home under the lighthouse's sweeping beam, she felt like she was carrying the entire swirling, dancing subatomic universe in her bike basket. She realized that she was carrying something extraordinary, the ability to reveal the deepest secret of atoms to anyone willing to see it. In her bedroom, Lily set the bubble on her desk. It glowed softly, almost expectantly. She felt an urge to scan something else, to produce more fireflies. But Miss Riverstone's caution echoed in her mind. She decided it was enough for one day. Before drifting to sleep, she listened to her own heartbeat and thought of the atoms within her body, each an intricate realm of swirling particles. I am part of all this, she thought, and all this is part of me. That realization had never felt so tangible or so beautiful.